All right, guys, so back around for another conversation about what we're experiencing out here. So we've seen those who tracked what we were talking about with Mortgage News Daily, the interest rates spiked as you saw that trail go downward in the charts. Then it worked its way back up, but we didn't see a whole lot of movement to the betterment of the interest rates. But we've seen that starting to settle in now. There's about 2 to 3 days in the last 30 days I could get decent rates with decent costs. Now we're getting to where it's about the same as it was those 2 days. So now we're getting back into the fours. There's going to be points being charged though, guys. When we're talking about 20% down, be ready to be some points. We can talk about that when we get ready to lock. That's just going to be the way it's going to go going forward because of what we've seen happen when it comes to the servicing side of things. I've explained that when it comes to the servicers not buying these loans now, we got to pay for that servicing up front. So be aware of that. And that's something we'll talk about every time we're getting ready to lock. Now, as we're I got to cover a lot of questions, kind of the same as what we did before. Unfortunately, I'm going to be repeating myself quite a bit. And for those of you that are listening to it and you've heard this a lot, and you're like, hey, I heard you say that. You keep talking about the same thing. Well, one, there's only so many things you can say when it comes to our current environment now. But the other thing of it is sometimes you don't hear it until you hear it 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I've heard statistics saying you have to hear it 7 times to be able to really embrace it. So we're going to cover something that seems to be asked a lot even today. What happens to be with the forbearance. I'm getting a lot of emails from folks saying, well, if I'm not getting rent, does that mean I get to just go into forbearance? Is it something they tack on at the end? Is it something that I just get completely forgiven? There's all these questions being asked that quite literally are way out there. I mean, there's a lot of information being given. I've never heard of anybody say that you can just go ahead and not make your payment, we'll just forgive that payment. No, that interest is still accruing, guys. When you borrowed the money, you agreed to the interest, you signed on the bottom line, interest is accruing. And as far as I understand up to this point, if you do choose to go into forbearance, you got those 2, 3, 4 months, whatever that is, on that final month when your next payment is due, guess what? You got to make all of them. 5 months worth of payments right then, just like we talked about before. If you go through the modification process and if they put it on the tail end of the deal, just also know they're adding the unpaid balance to your mortgage and probably adding the interest. Know that that's going to happen. Realize what you're getting yourself into. So, don't think that you're going to be able to do this and be able to walk away without paying for it. It's going to come up somewhere. So realize that. Call the servicing department. Don't make decisions without talking to whoever you're making your payments to. Not Aaron Chapman. You're not making your payments to me. You call the 800 number on your statement. You call the 800 number on your online portal, and that's where you get the information you need to know for that. And you're going to talk to them about the process and what you're going to get. Each lender has their own process. It's not the same for everybody. So you can't call one lender, even though you're paying payments to 3 people, and expect the same thing. So know that. And also remember, the rents right now, yeah, you've got some people probably losing jobs. It's happening. I'm seeing it. But there's others that are not. There's stimulus checks coming out this next month. Know that. I think it's next month. Don't quote me on that. That's just my guess again off the top of my head. But know that there's people that are still paying their rent. In fact, rents are going up. I'm hearing in a lot of markets. There's huge demand for single families. We talked about that before, the people that are in their apartment with their kids. There's people now having to try and deal with the claustrophobia of a smaller environment. They want a yard. They want more space. There's huge demand coming. It kind of reminds me of being back in Las Vegas for an event, and I was staying at one of the hotels there. 2 o'clock in the morning, those paper thin walls. I got to hear what the neighbors were doing. Believe me, they were doing some stuff. And the stuff they were doing, the only way that I could tell that it was not somebody beating a walrus carcass with a snow shovel is there was human voices going on too. So there's some stuff happening, and I would want it out of that room, but it's 2 a.m. Well, I guess at Vegas you can get up and run around 2 a.m., but I wanted to sleep. People are dealing with that in apartments right now. They can't wait to have a house. So if you're a single family residence owner, as far as an investor holding single families, know that you've got a piece of gold for somebody else. There's a lot of cool things that are happening right now with this social distancing. People are having to spend more time with their families. The people I was on the phone with before, you could hear them get frustrated with their children in the past. Now I'm hearing them pause in my conversation, say, Aaron, give me a minute, and they're talking with their kids. They're talking through their homework and stuff. There's really cool things happening in people's environment. So I think that there can be some good come from all of this. And the investors who are willing to push forward, who are willing to grow their business, who are willing to stress themselves a little bit more today, will really capitalize later. So just stick with it. Call me when we need to talk through your deals. We'll get you the best deals we can. But I think coming out the back end of this is going to work really, really well for us all.